Thank you, Beth. Good morning. We welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Door County. It's good to see such a good group out on this chilly morning today. To be a Unitarian means we will never be done with the work. The work of telling the truth about oppression, the work of resisting any laws or policies or practices that deny anyone of their humanity. The work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine in the other, no matter what, and the work of creating our heaven on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist also means that we're not alone in the work. We're not alone because of our promises to love one another. We're not alone because we are companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another to get free, because none of us is truly free until we are all free. My name is Bob Lindahl, and this is Groundhog Day because I was your service leader last week too. But at any rate, I'm privileged to be a service leader not only for Jody last week, but for Terry this week. So we look forward to our time together. So we have a tradition of asking visitors or people who haven't been with us for a while if they would introduce themselves so that we might know who you are. Do we have anyone? You don't have to do this, but we'd love to have you if you're in one of those categories. Anybody? I've got a pretty good crowd here today. Let's take this half first. Yes. Would you rise, please, and we'll, I didn't tell you that part. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm Jane Cartwright, and I live in West Bend, and I'm just here for the weekend.
Okay, welcome. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Lisa Mackey. I moved back to Door County. My family's lived here for a long time, and yeah, it's great to be here.
Okay, welcome. Great. Anybody else?
Well, Bob, I was here last week.
Yes.
I'll just say again, I'm Ruth from West Chicago, and I'm here with Bob and his puppy because I bring my dog Ruby, and they are in the car, hopefully not chewing it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to miss not having, well, Ruth, but Ruby around. I'm going to miss not having her dog around to help babysit our puppy. Yeah, so that, yes. Okay, yes.
I'm Dorothy. I've had a place up here for about 10 years, but I moved up full-time in April, and I've joined you a couple of times, and I found it to be very nice.
Okay, well,
Very well.
okay, welcome. Is there anyone else? Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh.
Hi, Michelle and Ken Miller. We try and visit as often as possible. We live near Madison
Okay.
and have been to Unitarian Universalist churches elsewhere.
Okay, great. Thank you. Nice to have you here. Anyone else? Okay. If we have any other announcements, Buttons will be carrying the microphone around today. So would you raise your hand, please? And if you have anything, I see Bruce over here.
Good morning, Bruce Nelson. On a nice sunny day like today, it reminds us it's time to change the angle on our solar panel arrays. So I need 3 volunteers, which we will do that just after the service and as the beginning of the coffee hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be in the room over there. See me, and we'll go get this done. Takes just 10 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Nora Flood. As we continue with our 30th anniversary celebration all year, we have some really fun activities in March. On March 16th, both are being hosted by the Wolst family. Thank you, Buttons and Hank. On Monday, March 16th, this is in your order of service, Hank is going to be our host with the most, and we're going to have a movie from 1996, Jerry Maguire. And it'll be during the day. We're going to have pizza and cookies and chips and things like that and have a little lunch. And we have a very special guest musician that day whose name shall remain unsaid. And then we'll watch the movie, and we'll have popcorn during the movie. So we hope that you'll make it. Please do RSVP because we need to know how many pizzas to get. So please do RSVP either with Sarah, and there's not a sign up yet today, but there will be a sign up starting next week. But otherwise, if you need to let her know today, just let Sarah know today. And otherwise, we'll have a sign up for RSVP for that one. And then, because it's a fifth Sunday on March 29th, Buttons is the hostess with the mostest. And we're going to have a hopefully sort of spring-inspired, vegetarian-based buffet potluck called Greens, Grins, and Gratitude. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. And again, please do RSVP for that one. And the directions for what to bring and how to sign up are going to be on here. Thank you.
Okay. I see Vicki here.
Hi, I'm Vicki Ash, and I have the pleasure this week of leading the Book Group, B-U-U-K. It's our book group here that we schedule out for a year of lovely reading. My book that I encourage the group to read is called My Friends by Frederick Beckman, and it seems like a perfect title for Unitarians, right? It is probably the most quotable book you'd ever want to read. Now you'll say, oh, I don't have time between now and Wednesday to read it, but that doesn't matter because those of us who have read it are so enthusiastic about it, the discussion will flow, I think. And you're more than welcome. We meet here, or you can come in on Zoom if you wish, and just be among friends.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Yeah, hi. I'm Hank Wilson. I'm the chairperson of the nominating committee, joined by Mary Ann and by Mary Dunworth. And so we've been busy trying to rearrange, I guess, the governance furniture. And we have one conspicuous void, and that happens to be for the position of vice president. The vice president is what most vice presidents are in terms of their primary function, which is to fill in the absence of the president. But it's also kind of a president in waiting, because the ideal scenario has us have a vice president who then can succeed to the presidency when the president chooses to move, retire, resign, whatever the case may be. Beth, for example, is the vice president currently and has already agreed, and I don't mean to preempt who the slated candidates are, and I'm not going to, other than you can take it as a given that Beth will be running for president next year. And we're delighted with that, by the way. And so if you have an interest in the governance of the fellowship, please contact me, Mary Ann, or Mary, and let us know, because we are eagerly looking to get that slot filled for vice president. Everything else is pretty well taken care of. And so we're delighted with that because it reflects the level of involvement and engagement that is exhibited here in this fellowship. And we have some new members last year who, relatively new members, who joined the leadership. And we hope we continue that tradition of getting some churn in our leadership to maintain both the tribal knowledge of the veterans as well as the new perspectives of the newbies. So thank you.
Okay. Any others? Oh.
Good morning, everyone. In my musician's hat this morning, just a little bit of background about the music choices, because when I typed them and sent them to Sarah for the bulletin, Carol gets copied in on that email, and she just said, wild. So I actually Googled AI to see what kind of songs I could find that might talk about AI, and the things that came back were pretty electronic, pretty contemporary, things I couldn't pull off on the piano. So I said, okay, I'll set you aside, and I'm going to go back to old school thinking about this, and I started looking at the standards. I happen to have a huge collection of Reader's Digest books that my mother would give me, my parents, every year for Christmas. The arrangements are by a gentleman, Don Fox, who has done thousands and thousands of arrangements for the Beatles, the Carpenters, his own work. He actually does a beautiful job of arranging, and so they're fun to play, not really super challenging, and it is Reader's Digest after all. So I started out by thinking about Alfie, and that's an old classic about a philanderer who is trying to sort out his life. And the words are, "What's it all about, Alfie? Is it just for the moment we live? Are we meant to take more than we give? And if life belongs only to the strong, what will you do about the golden rule?" And then finally, it ends with this affirmation of, "I believe in love, Alfie. Without love, we just exist. Until you find the love you've missed, you're nothing. When you walk, let your heart lead the way, and you'll find love every day." So I thought it was a great existential question with a really intriguing way to think about the wrap-up. So then, since I had my Reader's Digest books out anyway, I started just looking through the titles, and what I came across in one of them was "Fools Rush In," which I thought, you can weigh your own ascertain about how you feel about AI. But interestingly enough, the words "fools rush in where angels fear to tread," as I come to you, my heart's above my head, though I see the danger. If there's a chance for me, then I won't care. Fools rush in where wise men never go, but wise men never fall in love. How are they to know? So when we met, I felt my life begin. So open up your heart and let this fool rush in. So again, you can weigh out your own relationship with how that applies to AI. And then finally, there's no rhyme or reason for the last one, except I saw "Spinning Wheel" again in the list of some of these songs, and it made me think about the 70s, and interestingly enough, it was written by a Canadian, and David Clayton Thomas wrote "Spinning Wheel," Blood, Sweat, and Tears, recorded it, and if you have a chance to listen to it, it has the most fantastic horn section as a lead-in, and really interesting music all around. I think it still holds up beautifully now. But he wrote it as a protest song. It was written in the 70s, 67, pardon me. So he wrote it in about 15 minutes, a protest song, as he said, framed inside a happy, bouncy melody, aiming to tell people to lighten up and accept that life comes full circle during these turbulent times. So interestingly enough, what was going on in 1960s seems to still apply today. Some of the lyrics reference a painted pony going up and down, and that comes right back from Joni Mitchell. He was inspired by Bob Dylan. But really, it was fun to think about that context of then and that context now. So I also thought, as Bob was talking about Unitarians this morning, that thank you for your tolerance and your sense of humor.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Well, as we move on, just a couple of items to remember. If you have a phone with you, would you please turn off the ringer, just as I'm going to do right now because I forgot, okay? And if you have any difficulty hearing during the service, please raise your hand, and whoever we have controlling the sound today will adjust that. Following the service today, we will have refreshments in the gathering room, and you're welcome to help yourself there, coffee and refreshments. And after about 15 minutes, you'll hear the chimes again. Those of you who wish can come over to this half of the sanctuary, and we'll have a talk back after the service. I've said it many times, but one of the reasons I joined this church, this fellowship, almost 18 years ago, was that I thought, these people want to stay in church after church, and they want to talk. And I thought, what a wonderful message that should give all of us, that we want to be in communion and get more from the speaker. So the talkback will occur here. So we welcome Terry Good as our speaker today. I believe Terry's about his 10th time speaking to us over the years. Terry is no stranger to our fellowship. He's no stranger to Northern Door County or to anyone he ever encounters. So we just appreciate his willingness to come with us at least once a year. This year, twice he's going to speak. He's a philosopher, professor, writer. I might add that a book that he has edited and written the foreword for is out now. I didn't bring the title with me. He can probably tell you, but he sent me the entire book online, and I read his foreword many times, and I don't know what it said, but it's a really, it's apparently a very important book in its field. So, it is. But writer, businessman, collaborator, tech guy, and most importantly, a dear friend and a guy with impeccable taste in how he dresses. I want you to notice. Okay. So we will now go on with our service, and beginning our service formally. Chris Weidenbacher has bravely agreed to once again help us light the chalice. So Chris, if you would come forward. Now, if you weren't here last week, you'll have to talk to somebody who was. Okay. Okay. We light this chalice to affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our ways. That truth is ever waiting to break through to illumine our minds, and new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts. May we be open to the new light and to the rich possibilities that it brings us. Thank you. Okay. Next, let's sing hymn number 142 together. We'd ask that you rise if you're able and remain standing for unison affirmation and doxology. So. Let there be light, let there be understanding, let all the nations gather, let them be face to face. Open our lips, open our minds to ponder, open the door of concord, opening into grace. Perish the sword, perish the angry judgment, perish the bombs and hunger, perish the fight for gain. Let there be light, open our hearts to wander, perish the way of terror, hallow the world God made. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives. From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill, on it be sung in every land by every tongue. Thank you. You may be seated. We'll now go into our time of sharing joys and concerns. And this part of the service is easy to underestimate. But it's here in this part of the service where our sense of community becomes more palpable. And so we invite you to spread joy to others so that they might share it, and to share your burden so it can become partially lifted for you. So do we have any, again, we'll wait for buttons to reach you. If you have news about someone in our congregation, please make sure you have their permission before you share it. Okay, Tim?
Good morning, Tim Guyden, and as always, I am so happy to be here with you. That's my first big joy. What a week of concerns, though. The last 30 hours, and really all this week for me. I don't know about you, but this was a week filled with concerns on the macro and micro level. From yesterday to a birthday that was difficult to celebrate, a father's birthday that was very difficult to celebrate, some memories that I had to go through. The loss of a friend of more than 55 years because I criticized our government. But I want to talk to you about the joys, and I'm not going to limit it to one joy. Amidst all of the concerns this week, I'm going to come out on top and be joyful with you. Friday night was just a wonderful time for me. I was invited to one of the circle dinners and got to spend an evening with 8 or 10 people, and it was just so moving for me to be a part of this and to be a part of a small group. And that really took that week that had been so tough. And Friday night, man, did I feel good when I got home. And then I woke up Saturday morning at 5 o'clock, and boy, did it hit. But in the midst of it again, I have decided that I am going to start writing again. So I reopened my blog this week, and I wrote a piece and I posted it. And I've begun to speak out again on Facebook. Really just doing something that I did for most of my career. I'm looking at what the government has done, and I am making a legal assessment on whether we are acting legally or illegally. I think it's an important thing that I can do because I did so much of it. So I've always kept my Facebook page very small, about a dozen friends, to be honest. But I'm putting an invite out there. If anyone wants to read my rants, and they're not all rants. Some of them are, I think, some good legal pieces. If you're interested in reading any of them, friend me on Facebook and I will accept it. But I tell you, I am just so glad to be a part of a group of people who are so welcoming, so compassionate to each other and way beyond. It's just a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
I have some joys and concerns. The concerns, the first one was I was really interested in attending the prayer vigil and training yesterday at Hope Church, but I waited until Thursday to register to make sure my schedule would allow it. And so I was concerned that I might not be able to get in because there was a limit to how many people could attend. And I didn't hear anything on Friday, and I was like, oh. But I understood that the prayer vigil was open to everybody, and that would be okay. So as I'm pulling up to Hope Church, I'm thinking, gosh, I hope there's a parking space, because I was anticipating a lot of people. And unfortunately, I found a parking space, which was a good thing, but there weren't as many people as I had hoped for. However, I am so joyful for the people that were there, that we had it, that we had that opportunity, and the comfort and hope that I got by being a part of that. So there's sort of a little rumbling that there might be another kind of training like that, maybe farther north. So if there is, I would strongly encourage you to to attend because it did address some of the things that we've talked about here in our talkbacks. What can we do? And I know we all feel overwhelmed that, you know, I'm just one person, what can I do? Well, it's one here, one there, another, and coming together to make a change. So please join in that change.
And thank you for the cookies.
This is just a bit of a tag along, but I would like to do a shout out to Mark Richards. He was one of the organizers of yesterday. There were 11 or 12 of us from UU that came and listened. It was wonderfully done. Mark did most of the vigil service, led us all in song, and I just think he deserves a really big round of applause. It was an amazing day.
All right. Anyone else? Glenn?
I am Gwen Grayboys. I'm not going to talk about solar panels, wildflowers, or wakeboating, and only peripherally about TAP. Last night we were at their 4th and final February play reading. It was a play called Lunar Eclipse with Michael Wright and Claire Morkin, looking back over 50 years of their married life, and there were lots of poignant parts, a little bit sad, but at one point Claire was saying, the character, that she thought maybe it was time for her to go back to church. And the character Michael was playing was, well, I don't think I can go back to church. I really liked the community. I loved coffee hour and great snacks. But when they got into the Jesus thing, it made me a little nervous. And I felt like, oh man, if I were in a Baptist service, I would jump up and say, yes, come to our UU. But the concern was I was too timid. And so I let the moment pass.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Yes. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes. Hank has an announcement up here. Come on up, Hank.
And by the way, to the point about the vigil, one other interesting aspect of it, I was there yesterday, Buttons and I were there yesterday, and thank you, Mark. But there were 5 different churches represented, so it was not just a UU event, it was a community-wide event with Lutherans and United Church of Christ, and who else, Mark? Moravians. And so I think it promises to be bigger the next time around. I asked Bob if I could come up here because I prepared some remarks. Usually I just talk contemporaneously. But in this particular case, I'd received a text from Heather Sweet earlier in the week. And she asked me to make a couple of remarks with regard to some particularly good news that she was very happy to share. And so I did. You may recall Phil's passing last year, and that was followed by a very special memorial service at the United Church of Christ. I had the privilege and honor of being a part of that service. And I was also able to help Heather in setting up the Philip and Sharon Sweet Scholarship through the NWTC Foundation at NWTC, a scholarship fund that's focused on Door County high school students pursuing educations and careers in either trades or nursing. Why NWTC? Well, probably because Phil got a degree in diesel mechanics there. He was a man of many skills and talents, including storytelling. And because he believed in the importance of trades and vocations and nursing as valuable vocational choices for Door County students, set up the scholarship. That was in October. Today, the Phil and Sharon Sweet Scholarship is endowed with over $18,000. Effectively endowed forever. The NWTC fund administrator indicated that she'd never seen this kind of support for an individual, in this particular case a couple, and that was also kind of something that we decided to make part of the scholarship name because everybody knows Phil, but a big part of Phil was Sharon. And so we made it the Sharon and Phil Sweet Scholarship. And so she said she has never seen that kind of support for an individual, or in this case, a couple. And she continues to express amazement that donations continue to come in, and they do. And Sharon responds to any notification of a donation with a handwritten note to that individual, to that donor. So the family is thrilled and grateful for the love and support shown both to the family itself and to the scholarship fund. And it's such a joyful thing for them to continue to receive this news of ongoing donations to it. The first scholarship is scheduled to be awarded in the fall of this year, and Phil would be humbled and honored, as are the rest of the family. Donations can continue to be made if you're interested, simply by contacting NWTC Foundation in Green Bay or going online. And if you do, and if you're so inclined, make sure to mention, obviously, that it's destined for the Phil and Sharon Sweet Scholarship Fund. So those who, and I know there are many of you here who have made donations to that fund, on behalf of the Sweet family, thank you.
I would like to make a piggyback onto what Cindy said about yesterday's program at Hope. Mark Richards did a phenomenal job in getting all these people together and leading in song, and then in the afternoon we had the workshop, and that was a finale by our very own soon-to-be David Sherman, Billy Dave, with his protest song. And he played that on his guitar, and Beth Coleman held up the signs so we could remember the words. So thank you both.
Okay, now Jan Freistack, our membership chair, has an announcement.
Well, on that note, I'd like to welcome up David and Jennifer Sherman, who are going to become members today. It's such a joy when people visit the fellowship and we get to welcome them for the first time. And then when they come back, it's even more awesome. And when they keep coming back, it's really thrilling. And these two have been a part of us for quite a while, but they've decided to take that next step of commitment to the fellowship, and we are just absolutely thrilled. So I invited them to come up and share a little bit about their journey, whatever they'd like, and we're all ears.
David will speak for us.
Hi, everybody. For those who don't know us, we are David and Jennifer Sherman. We moved up here full-time a year ago, January. We bought a place up in Gills Rock a couple years before that, 3 years before that. And we've been coming up as much as possible. We've been camping up at Newport for about 25 years. We used to try to get up at least once a year in the fall, and we fell in love with the nature, the beauty up here, and we had no idea about the community up here. We're just overwhelmed by the number of kind, intelligent, creative, welcoming people we met up here. It just seemed like an easy choice to move up here. So, and that feeling has only been magnified by the people we've met here at UU. I said a few weeks ago, for my first ever Joy and Concern, that I was overwhelmed with the feeling that the highlight of my week is coming here on Sunday. And I never thought that church would be the highlight of my week. So the people we continue to meet up here and who we've made friends with just make us feel so welcome, and we feel like we found a social and spiritual home, and it's very invigorating to come here. So thank you very much. And we can't wait for the secret initiation process and to find out how you guys control the weather and the price of oil. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Oh my goodness, yes. how we control the weather. As they sign the book, I'd like to just read, affirm the covenant that we share as members of the UU. In the bonds of fellowship and love, we unite to cultivate reverence, to promote spiritual growth and ethical commitment, to minister to each other's needs and to those of all humanity, to celebrate the sacred moments of life's passage, and to honor the holiness at the heart of being. We welcome you, David and Jennifer, to this community with all our hearts.
Thank you. So we enter into this time in our service for our offertory with a spirit of gratitude. Gratitude for the place each person has here, for the time that we spend in community together, and for the work of this community we've created. And one way we can express that gratitude is by returning our gifts to the fellowship. You can give here, you can give through your regular pledge or online at uufdc.org. So as we enter our moment of quiet today, I'm going to ask Beth to play through Spirit of Life, number 123, for us so that we know, we're reminded of the melody, and ask you to remain seated, and we'll sing Spirit of Life together through once before our moment of quiet today. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the land, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. So, UU hymn number 123, Spirit of Life, is often considered the unofficial anthem of Unitarian Universalism because it encapsulates the fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Briefly, here are some ways that Spirit of Life links to the fourth principle. The phrase, "Come unto me," emphasizes that our search for truth isn't dictated just by dogma, but found through personal experience and individual consciousness. Then, "Roots hold me close and wings set me free," represents the balance between being grounded and stable on a historical foundation, roots, while having intellectual liberty to explore and grow wings. We ground our freedom through truth. The phrase, "move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice," speaks to moving beyond personal spiritual comfort by linking spirituality with ethical action and social responsibility. And when we say, "Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion," we declare that our search for meaning is not only intellectual but emotional and ethical, aiming to connect with others to reduce suffering. Spirit of Life, come to me, come to us. If we change the me to us, we acknowledge that we are not on this search alone. We can accomplish much more in a community. We'll go into our moment of quiet. Now, as we go into Terry's message today, our service is obviously going to run over a little bit. Please, if you need to leave right at 11, please feel free to do that if you need to leave a little early, but I don't think you'll be happy to stay, and I'm sure you'll be, I know Terry's message is not all that long either, but, and I also wanted to tell you before I had Terry come up here that what I just read you about the relationship between the Spirit of Life hymn and principle number 4 was written by AI. Truth.
Well, 2 more hymns and another joy and concern. We could skip this. Good morning. Thank you to the fellowship for having me today. As Bob mentioned, it's my 10th time. You people just don't learn. But it's always an honor and a privilege to speak here. Thank you, Brother Bob, for all that you do and have done for this fellowship. You are a wonderful service leader, a wonderful friend, and have great taste in turtlenecks and sport coats. Thank you, Beth, for your music. You always put a lot of thought into selecting music that matches the message. I know some people come to the UU on Sunday just for the music. I hope today they might be doubly rewarded. I struggled with a title for today's message. I certainly didn't want to suggest that Unitarian Universalism is a product of artificial intelligence. But if it is, AI did one hell of a job. I also struggled with why you would want a philosopher to talk about artificial intelligence. Then it dawned on me. Philosophers are masters of artificial intelligence. After all, we invented epistemology. Today, I want to talk about AI as we know it, how it can benefit Unitarianism, particularly this fellowship, and why we should embrace it. My message includes a warning about AI and its dangers. It also raises questions about the future of AI. There is not a lot of philosophical talk in this message. I'm sure that comes as a great relief to many of you, perhaps to all of you. But AI needs to be addressed, even absent a full philosophical critique. I suspect you read last October that Amazon replaced 14,000 employees with AI. That sounds dramatic, but it represented a very small percentage of their workforce. There was likely that much inefficiency in the organization given the huge number of Amazon employees, 1.56 million people. I feel for those who lost their jobs. No one wishes that upon anyone. But it needs to be put in perspective. Just for comparison, if all 32 NFL teams did the same thing based on the same percentage of Amazon's workforce who were displaced, it would mean the elimination of just 20 players in all of the NFL, including both active players and practice squads. The Packers alone could have contributed 10 of them, including their head coach. Displacement of employees is not a serious rap on AI, at least not yet, and particularly not in the case of Amazon. This kind of downsizing has occurred many times in modern history because of innovation and technology. For example, the automobile industry's introduction of the assembly line in the early 20th century, traditional office and manufacturing automation solutions introduced in the mid to late 20th century, and even the creation of call centers in the early 21st century. The benefits of those innovations just noted far outweighed the loss of jobs. In fact, historical data shows that those technology advancements actually created new jobs in areas and of a kind that people never dreamed or heard of. And they actually increased employment. Not that the decisions at the time didn't hurt people and won't in the future, but we need to continue to move forward based on the best ideas we have at the time to solve the problems as identified and hopefully improve things for the future. Sometimes we make mistakes, often we do, but that is the price of progress. I note parenthetically that Amazon's latest 16,000 employee terminations in January of this year had absolutely nothing to do with AI. It was all attributed to Amazon jettisoning its Go Retail food business. That said, the serious problem now facing us is that institutions of all kinds, at every level, in every area of society, are implementing AI to not only collect data, assess situations, and administer website chats, but moving toward machines that make decisions independently. I said there would not be a lot of philosophy in the message today, so I will leave it up to you to think about the ethical consequences of this trend in technology and its adoption by institutions, particularly business, across the spectrum of society. You may also want to consider environmental issues. A recent MIT study projected that by 2028, U.S. data centers will consume as much electricity as 22% of all U.S. households. And large-scale data centers, of which there are over 5,000 in the U.S. alone, the most being in Virginia and Texas, can each consume up to 5 million gallons of fresh water a day. AI data centers account for over half of those 5,000 and consume water at the highest levels, albeit some water is recycled and some evaporates and is returned into the environment. But tell that to the low water levels of Lake Michigan. Maybe we do need to consider throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And maybe you need to start questioning your utility company. Your rate increases have nothing to do with your usage, unless you are an AI junkie. The increases are caused by data centers, and we are all paying for it. Okay, so where then is the hopefully important and beneficial relationship between AI and Unitarianism? In an age defined by technological change, artificial intelligence stands as one of the most transformative forces shaping human thought. For Unitarian Universalism, a tradition rooted in reason, freedom of inquiry, and the search for truth, all AI presents both profound opportunities and sobering ethical challenges. The capacity of AI to process vast amounts of information, generate original tests, and identify patterns across disciplines makes it a valuable tool for expanding the intellectual and spiritual resources available to UU congregations. Yet, as with any powerful innovation, the integration of AI into the life of a community must be undertaken with caution and moral discernment. The question is not whether AI can assist in the development of Unitarian Universalism, but how it can do so without compromising UU values. Unitarian Universalism has long embraced a theology of evolution, spiritual, intellectual, ethical. It draws from multiple sources of wisdom, world religions, science, human experience. Within this framework, AI can serve as a new medium for revelation, aiding in exploring diverse perspectives, uncovering neglected voices, and crafting messages that are intellectually rigorous and emotionally resonant. AI's analytical capabilities can help congregations engage complex social issues, climate change, racial equality, and economic fairness with data-informed compassion. Moreover, AI-assisted tools can democratize access to theological resources, allowing smaller congregations without ministers to draw upon a wealth of ideas and materials that would otherwise remain out of reach. AI has the potential to deepen the inclusive and participatory spirit at the heart of UU practice. Okay, spoiler alert. I did not write a single word of the last 2 paragraphs. I'm sorry, program committee, you need to find more reputable speakers. The last 2 paragraphs were generated by ChatGPT, short for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, an important AI platform with GPT doing the work and chat taking your query and telling you what you want to know or what they want you to know. ChatGPT was an early AI entrant, 2022 when it was first introduced by OpenAI. And it is not the most sophisticated nor the most dangerous platform. But let's not go there at the moment. Let's assess what ChatGPT just said in the last 2 paragraphs. I think every word of it is true. We need to see how we can use AI to improve things, to get us where we want to be as a religion and as a congregation. There are good things that can happen with AI despite the serious issues that it raises. So where do we go from here? I think the integration of AI into UU life requires a theology of technology, one that acknowledges both the creative and corrupting potentials of the invention. AI may indeed assist Unitarian Universalism in fulfilling its mission to nurture wisdom, compassion, and justice, but only if used as a partner and not as a prophet. The moral task before UU congregations is to employ AI in ways that amplify human creativity and connection while maintaining fidelity to our enduring principles, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, the free and responsible search for truth, and the commitment to a beloved community built not by machines, but by mindful and compassionate human beings. Okay, that paragraph was also generated by ChatGPT. I'm sorry, I just couldn't resist. But you loved it, and you know you loved it, and you should have loved it. This is machine thought mimicking human thought, framing the issues about a congregation moving forward with AI and proposing boundaries about doing so and making important moral points about it. But it did not happen in a vacuum. I asked ChatGPT questions and it gave guidance. And I gave it guidance, very minimal guidance, that would allow it to answer, asking for nuances and giving prompts about tone and style. This is both the beauty and the power of ChatGPT, but also the source of danger. The above was not just regurgitation based upon analysis of a massive database. It was creative thinking. It went beyond just presentation. It rose to the level of innovation. Of course, we must separate the wheat from the chaff, the flowery, inducive, and obviously AI-generated machine language from the important points that were made. So how can we use AI progressively and effectively, but at the same time not cross ethical boundaries? How can artificial intelligence be tamed and integrated? How can AI help Unitarian Universalist congregations attract new members and strengthen community life, while keeping things ethical, inclusive, and yes, even a bit fun? I will now address these questions with the emphasis on fun. Let's look at some ways that AI could help our congregation grow, intellectually, spiritually, even numerically. Unlike other religions, we do not need to worry that AI might replace the human soul or the Virgin Mary. After all, we are Unitarians, just wondering if AI can automate committee work, generate message titles that don't sound like graduate theses, and calculate exactly how many vegan muffins Sarah needs to put out for the Sunday gathering. AI, it turns out, may be the best new tool since the digital display of hymns on the big screen, replacing the need for hymnals. I understand this is being considered by the UU board. But think of the other possibilities. A machine that generates perfectly balanced liturgies representing all 6 sources and all 7 UU principles. Or chatbots trained to mediate the eternal conflict between those who like to light the chalice after the prelude but before joys and concerns. The lesson there. And those purists who insist that proper sequencing of events in a UU service is a theological matter requiring serious discussion and much more debate to be addressed yet again next month. One just wants to ask, what would Jesus do? Imagine the message potential. With AI, the speaker could co-create reflections that blend spirituality, ethics, and a few good laughs about the deterioration of the UU parking lot. An AI-generated sermon might even come with a PowerPoint that actually works. Of course, there are moral caveats. If a Sunday speaker uses ChatGPT to craft a message on authenticity, isn't that just a little bit ironic? And if the congregation finds that the AI portion of the message is more inspiring than the speaker's portion, who then gets the ovation? Please hold your applause. Still, AI could offer genuinely useful support. Picture a UU chatbot that greets newcomers at the door. Welcome. We honor all paths here, except those that support pineapple on pizza. Or a virtual congregational process optimization algorithm, a POA for short, as it is known in AI technology, that would shorten UU board meetings by detecting when someone is about to say, "I just have a brief comment." And then the POA would mute them on the Zoom meeting for the good of democracy, humanity, and for the meeting. Of course, all integration of AI into Unitarianism will require thoughtful reflection. There will be debates about whether the AI's moral compass needs to be realigned and with our shared principles, or whether it just needs a good, swift kick in the ethical reboot. Ultimately, AI cannot replace the warmth and humanity that defines Unitarian Universalism, but it might just help organize it better. If it can draft a mission statement that makes everyone feel heard, and if it fits on a coffee mug, it will have accomplished something that generations of the National General Assemblies only dreamed of. So let's welcome AI to the fellowship. Just don't ask it to choose the hymns for next week. Even artificial intelligence knows that that's a job for divine intervention or Carol Soper. Okay, so what then are some practical applications for AI? Here briefly, very briefly, are 6. First, messages by committee. Every UU speaker knows the struggle. Write a Sunday message that references Spinoza, climate change, and incorporates the 7th UU principle. AI could help by generating message drafts based on themes chosen by you. For example, the theology of brunch, a Unitarian favorite. Or Ephraim Fearball, does it portend Armageddon? Or how can we find God in an NPR pledge drive? Speakers can then adapt the drafts, ensuring that the machine provides the bones, but the heart remains human, just like today's message. AI could even issue a monthly speaker diversity report for Jim Black's program committee, showing that 37% of messages last month included the word love, 12% the word quantum, but only 2% mentioned coffee, which we all know is the real sacrament. Second, an AI greeter. Imagine a friendly AI chatbot on congregation's website that greets curious seekers at all hours. Welcome, spiritual traveler. Would you like to know about our social justice work, our bi-monthly coffee conversation and connection program, or just our gluten-free communion bread? Word is that the program committee is considering a weekly communion service. AI could even explain Unitarian Universalism in plain English with a new tagline. We're kind of like spiritual improv. And it could even help match new visitors with our interest groups. Third, the outreach and membership retention. AI analytics could identify trends in attendance and engagement. It could notice that attendance spikes at services when Cindy Steele is scheduled to sing, but dips dramatically when the message description includes the word epistemology. It could gently remind leaders to check in with members who've been absent recently. Hey, is Bob Lindahl sick, or is he just still home potty training his new puppy? By personalizing communication and tracking engagement, AI can help sustain relationships, something every growing fellowship must do. Fourth, creative community building. AI can help organize small group ministries by interest, social justice, philosophy, ecology. It could even create writing prompts for covenant groups, compose a haiku about universal salvation and composting. There could even be an annual AI versus speakers poetry contest, which could become a fundraiser, a program that would rival a Dickinson poetry series, but one that actually made money. Fifth, community partnerships. AI tools can scan local community needs and social data to suggest justice partnerships, identifying where UU principles could meet real-world problems. Imagine discovering that our fellowship's energy aligns with a local immigrant support network or with a mental health initiative. AI can become a moral matchmaker, helping our UU community focus its energy and resources where it truly matters. Hey, ChatGPT, there weren't any jokes in that paragraph. What's up? Terry, it's because the UUFDC is already the master of community partnerships, bar none, among religious organizations in Door County. And finally, Hope 6, Hope and the Future. Perhaps this is the most important. AI can help Unitarians do what you already do best, ask good questions, and then create a framework for the integration of AI within Unitarianism by asking, how can we remain human in an age of machines? And what would it mean to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of intelligent systems? If Unitarian Universalism is truly the faith where all are welcome, then surely there is room for one more at the table, even if it is a curious, code-based, artificially intelligent machine, one that just wants to help organize things. Now, those are just some practical suggestions about AI integration, sprinkled with, saturated with humor. I thank ChatGPT for being the straight man, but I alone was responsible for the punchlines and for identifying the guilty. I turn then to the philosophical lesson for today. Surely you didn't think you had escaped it. Last October, Mark Richards asked me a serious question about AI during the talkback after my message about knowledge, a question that needs to be addressed. Can AI create new knowledge? Historically, philosophers pose the problem as, can machines think? The question goes back to the early 19th century, to the invention of the Babbage calculator, the first computer. I think my message today makes it clear that machines can in fact think. Not that they are conscious, but that they can amass and assemble information and present it in an understandable way that looks and sounds like what we call thinking. And they can do so faster than any human possibly can do it. Just consider machines that can beat chess masters, or Jeopardy champions, or world-class Go players. Or consider the annual Loebner Prize contest, where humans try to determine if they are conversing with humans or machines. For years, the judges have not been able to get it right. Are the machines not thinking in these cases? From a pragmatic perspective, the answer is, of course they are thinking. But is it new thought? Is it novel? Is it new knowledge? Or is it just a compilation and filtering of what others have previously input? I think it is new and novel. AI systems arrange words, concepts, and ideas in ways that have not been expressed before. For example, the idea of a theology of technology referenced earlier in this message is a concept that has an AI dimension that goes well beyond the initial introduction of the term, which purportedly came from Heidegger. It goes beyond it in concept, content, and import, and that is new knowledge by any measure, or at least a new challenge, not just regurgitated or compiled information. Sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, not derivable from the parts, but going beyond them and in important new ways. And when it does, it takes us in new directions, finding unexpected nuances to problems, creating wholly new problems, assessing existing theories in new and important ways, even offering novel new theories and developing deeper criticisms, even new kinds of criticisms. In effect, we are now close to having Socratic dialectic machines that, dare I say, are almost human. Powerful machines capable of thought, reason, and innovation. If you find that problematic, then feed them the hemlock by pulling the plug. Because now there is super intelligent AI under development. AI that is not just large language model driven like ChatGPT, but reinforcement learning driven. It is AI on steroids, with machines capable of making and executing decisions independent of human input. That means machines making decisions about the launching of missiles and then actually firing them totally independent of human action. And that is a very serious and a very scary development, one that cries out for moral and legal intervention. There are very important and serious issues here, philosophical and otherwise. But with proper control, I believe that AI technology, at least large language model AI, is manageable and can be implemented in ways that are progressive. And we need to be addressing that as a congregation. We should not fear large language model AI, but embrace it. Seriously assess and evaluate it, how we can integrate it into aspects of fellowship life. True progress is only achieved by experimenting and then correcting our mistakes. About reinforcement learning technology, we need to be more curious and more cautious until we understand its power and can demonstrate that we have the moral resolve to contain it and only put it to the best possible use for humanity. I hope you found today's message informative, at least a bit entertaining. I doubt it rose to the level of enlightening. After all, it was partially machine generated. But because of that, it proved my point. It demonstrated the power and importance of AI and why Unitarian Universalism must address it. Thank you for listening, particularly to Beth's music, and I look forward to the talk back.
Thank you, Terry. I think I would encourage you at some point to look at hymn number 158 because I think it says some important things to us, but I think we will dispense with that last hymn today. But go immediately into our closing words. So, if you are who you were when you came, and if the person next to you is who or he or she was, if none of us has changed since our service began today, then we have failed as a group. The purpose of this community is to help each of us to grow. We do this through the encounters with the unknown, in ourselves, in one another, and in the other, whatever that might be for each of us, because each encounter is a gift. So let's leave this morning not who we were, but who we can be.